Bring your cup, take a seat, fill it up, coffee, wine, or tea. Come find what you're looking for, a good pour.
Welcome back to A Good Pour. I'm Kathryn Good, your host. Today we are joined by Morgan Weinstock with Jackson Morgan Southern Cream. I'm going to let you go ahead and finish the rest of that.
It's a Tennessee whiskey cream liqueur.
A Tennessee whiskey cream liqueur.
It's a mouthful, right?
It is, but I love it. So welcome. I'm so glad you're here. We have known each other a year and a half, 2 years. Is it? No, it's been longer than that.
I think it's been longer than that.
So do you remember where we met?
Where did we meet?
It was at a women's function for International Women's Day.
That's right.
And I was speaking on, I was part of a panel, and I was speaking on really just doing good work and you know, what I tend to speak on here. But you came up to me after and you introduced yourself and you just said, I enjoyed what you had to say and let's get together. And then we did. And it was like, I think we got together for a glass of wine and we did. We were there for like 2 hours, right?
Whoops.
It happens. But it was just a soulful conversation for me. And I don't know, it was just, I felt like we clicked. And then you had a baby, and I think I saw you here and there. And then we get to see each other every now and then working out. But anyway, I've always really enjoyed you. And I'm just glad you're here.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
So tell me about Jackson Morgan.
So Jackson Morgan is a Tennessee whiskey cream, kind of similar to other creams you've seen on the market, but made with Tennessee whiskey. And it's a family business, which can be very interesting at times. And the story behind the brand is my grandfather my great-grandfather back during the 1920s ran an illegal moonshine business. And so now over 100 years later, we're picking up where he left off. And so I come from a long line of interesting folk.
And so where are you from originally?
So I'm from Fayetteville, Tennessee, but most of my family's from North Carolina.
Okay.
So
what part of North Carolina? I don't think I knew this.
we're from eastern North Carolina. So let's see. My dad is from outside of New Bern, North Carolina.
Okay.
That's probably the biggest town. It's actually called Vanceboro.
I lived in Lumberton. Do you know Lumberton?
I don't know Lumberton, but I'm sure my dad does.
Fayetteville. And then a lot of my family went to East Carolina University.
So both my parents went there.
Okay. So I think I did know this. This is coming back about your dad. Yeah, that's funny. I don't think we've ever talked about North Carolina, though.
And then my mom's from this itty-bitty town called Tyner, North Carolina.
Say that again?
Tyner, North Carolina.
No, I have not heard of that.
Like the closest town the size of Fayetteville, Tennessee, like where I'm from, which is a small town, is probably like 30 minutes.
So what part of North Carolina is it?
It's eastern.
Okay.
Close to Virginia, actually.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
No, I have not heard. I mean, I feel like I know North Carolina well, but I have not heard of that.
Like weeds grow in the road.
Okay.
Because nobody drives on them.
Okay. I've driven through that parts of North Carolina like that, but I have not heard of that one. And so how did they get to Tennessee?
So Eagle Snacks, which is a company that was bought by Frito-Lay.
Okay.
My dad worked there, and it was either move to Tennessee, which was 14 hours from everything they've ever known, or move. I think the other option was going to be much further.
Okay.
So they chose Tennessee, and they thought, I don't even know if they thought it was going to be permanent, but we ended up in Fayetteville, Tennessee, and that's where my brother Jackson and I were born, which is where the name for Jackson Morgan comes from. And we lived there for a long time. Yeah. And then when I went to college in Charleston, South Carolina.
Yes.
And then moved to Nashville after.
And so when did Jackson Morgan start?
So we started Jackson Morgan in 2013. I think our first product was actually on the shelf at 2015. Okay. It takes a good while to get all the legal and get your product exactly the way you want it, and it's not as easy as just putting a open for business sign out. There's a lot of legal behind it, and so I think our first bottle was 2015 on shelves, and now we're in almost 40 states. So
It's amazing.
but it was a journey, right, to get there.
And tell me what 2020 did for your brand.
I mean, COVID was amazing if you're an alcohol business. They're especially a brand that was easy to drink. So, like, we're 30 proof, 15% alcohol. So, in comparison to like a Tennessee whiskey or a tequila, you can just put this over ice and enjoy it, and you feel like an at-home mixologist. So, and we really leaned into that with our marketing, and the majority of our marketing anyways is how to entertain at home, what kind of cocktails to make at home for our winter brunch, you know, how to host a Valentine's Day get together with your girlfriends. So, because the marketing was already in play for that, it was very successful. For sure.
Yeah.
Things have slowed down a little bit since then, but we're still holding on.
I mean, you have marketed it well in the sense that it can be a cold weather drink. It can be a warm weather drink. You know, you have positioned it for every single season. Your Instagram is absolutely gorgeous. And that's really one of the reasons I wanted to have you on here. One, we have soulful conversations. Even after the last time we were at the gym, I was like, I just feel better after talking to you. And
well,
so,
thank you.
but also because you can see the good work you're doing in every single detail you put into this brand. And so just talk to me a little bit about good work. I mean, to me, when I see a solid social media presence with as much detail, I know that has to shine through in other parts of the organization. So what does good work mean to you?
Well, good work to me, especially for consumer packaged good, which is what we are, is first and foremost having a good product. So high quality, something that you're really proud of, and something that we really spend a lot of time on, and we still do, you know, sourcing ingredients, and even as far as like the bottling lines and making sure that is all taken care of. I mean, it's definitely it's definitely a process to get there. So I think without that, you have nothing else, right? And then we have the most wonderful team. You just couldn't imagine how great. And two of them I've known my entire life. And then obviously my dad is involved as well. So it's really more like a family. And to have that, and most of us, I think we've all been with the brands pretty much since the beginning. So to have that and not to really have any turnover is incredible in itself. And just how supportive we are of each other. I mean, when we had the snow day, we were all sending pictures of, you know, here's our kids playing in the snow, or Halloween. We sent everybody's Halloween costumes, and that really makes it special. And the fact that we have covered so much ground with such a small team, like, incredible.
Yeah.
I feel like that is a huge part. And if you take care of your employees as well, like, I feel like that is something my dad is very passionate about, is making sure that everybody is well taken care of and know how much we appreciate everybody.
Yeah, that's amazing. Your dad is a character for sure. What is it like? What is it like? I mean, your brother and you are the namesakes, and so, and your dad and mom are, help start the company, I'm sure. So what is it like working with family?
Well, I mean, it's definitely interesting because you can say whatever you want to say, which is good and bad, right? So that can be a challenge, and it took us a while to really find that balance of, like, we're not talking about work at Thanksgiving dinner.
How many flavors do you have now?
Let's see. You know? I think we just introduced 2 new ones. So we have salted caramel, peppermint mocha, whipped orange cream, brown sugar and cinnamon, peaches and cream. Did I say that one already? And we're about to come out with lemon. So that's 6, I think.
Okay.
And I may have missed one. Did I say peppermint mocha?
Yes.
Okay.
It's okay.
There's so many.
They're intentional. I feel. I mean,
yes.
Between the positioning, a certain time of year, the colors that you can add. I mean, it all just seems very intentional, and I'm just entirely impressed.
Oh, well, you have to remember back in like 2013, 2014, flavored vodkas were really hitting the market. And if you went to a liquor store, you could find shelves full of like prickly pear vodka, blueberry vodka, all these like interesting flavors that weren't traditionally there. And then you would look at the cream aisle, and it would be the same brown jug you've seen for years. And it might be something you bought at Christmas time and then you threw it away by summer, you know, because you didn't drink it all. And we thought, what a opportunity here, because, you know, whipped orange cream, you can make a milkshake in the middle of summer. You can make homemade ice cream with it. You can even make a cake and add it to the frosting. And like, what a fun way. This was kind of also back when like the bar cart and boozy brunches were really starting to hit the mark. And I know now this is all mainstream, but at the time, social media really wasn't what it is now either. So this was really the time when you could kind of break into that market. And so we saw that as a chance to do that. And we've introduced a couple of different flavors over the years. I forgot about pumpkin, our new fall staple.
Okay.
And
gotta have pumpkin.
you gotta have pumpkin. People love it. So
I don't, but I know people do. So
and then, you know, the flavors are a lot of them can be seasonal. So like, but we try to get the most we can out of it. So peppermint mocha, we'll market all the way through Valentine's Day, not just Christmas. And then whipped orange cream, we'll get football season out of there, you know, as Tennessee fans.
Absolutely.
You gotta have a tailgate drink.
Yes.
So we do our best to really stretch that to the limit, kind of.
Let's talk. You do your social media.
I do.
Which, I mean, I encourage anyone to visit their social media presence. I mean, the photo shoots are just absolutely gorgeous. Table settings, you know, bar carts, whatever you have put together. But you know, you and I were just talking before we went on air on, you know, we just had the TikTok ban, which didn't last near as long as I wanted it to for my children's sake. But, you know, we talked about the importance of owning your marketing.
Yes.
And, you know, not being solely dependent on one platform. Talk about how you protect what you do.
Well, I think first and foremost, you need a good lawyer. Definitely not for your children's content, but for a brand.
Yeah.
And you need to be advised by that lawyer. So do I own the copyright on these images? Do I have the trademark on my brand? Do I own everything that I can own when it comes to my brand? So do you have a trademark on your name? We even have a trademark on our bottle. So like trying to protect what you've created. And then for social media, if you do own your images, you can do a lot with that. Whereas if the photographer owns them, you know, they could then go take your brand images and sell them to the highest bidder, including a competitor. So I think it's so important that you own that. And then whatever you're promoting your brand on, just know that that can be temporary. So I wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. And I mean, there are plenty of brands that have built their business off TikTok, which is amazing. And what an incredible way to show like the back end of the business and to show things that you couldn't share on a website, right? But I think it's important that you own your website and you are keeping that content fresh and you're keeping it updated. We get so frustrated sometimes with like local businesses that you have to go to their Facebook page to even see if they're open.
Yes.
And you know, or
a phone number, or they haven't done the search engine work to maybe they have a website, but their Facebook page appears before their website. Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
So I think it's so important to make sure you own what is your primary source of connecting with your customers, and then use the other things as the icing on the cake. So Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and then really knowing who your audience is on those. So like, what kind of audience are we reaching on Facebook versus Instagram versus TikTok? And then as an alcohol brand, making sure you know the legalities around posting content. Like, do you have the 21 and older? Do you have, and revisiting this with your lawyer every year because things change. Yeah. And I think that also goes for influencer marketing. I don't think people really realize all the legalities that go into working with influencers or content creators.
So I just love this conversation because as much good work as you have done and as much time and energy you've put into this brand, if you aren't protected, if you don't own what you do, it could all be gone, right? And so I just very much appreciate your wise words on this subject. So thank you.
I think those are hard-earned wise words from mistakes in the past.
but now you get to share them, right?
Yes.
It becomes your story that you get to say, don't do this. And even more, here's what I've learned. So
I think also it can be really challenging. There's so many trends out there, right? And I think really staying focused on like, this is what our brand is about. Here are our core values. And this content really stands here, because I feel like it's easy if you put some kind of clickbait out there on TikTok, right? But maybe that doesn't really align with what you're doing. And then people are confused, like, who is this brand? And staying consistent with who you truly are, I think is, especially if you think about during COVID, like people doing TikTok dances, like CEOs and stuff that wouldn't normally be doing that. And now, you know, that content looks a little odd, you know?
Or it's not consistent. In some cases, lost credibility, right? I mean,
it can happen for sure. You have to be so careful about how you manage all of that.
Yeah. What is your any other like big role that you do at Jackson Morgan besides? I mean, I know you do a lot, but it's, in terms of time spent, what is besides social media?
So, I mean, social media is that takes up a pretty good chunk of time for sure. But I also do like all of our marketing strategy, our website, and the general, like, where are we going? And then we're such a small team. I think we're 7 people. So, which really forces you to be scrappy. Like, you teach yourself things. Like, I taught myself how to use Photoshop, like, because there's no one to teach you. So you kind of become all hands on deck. And that is a really big part of it. Whoever we work with, like strategic partnerships, whether that be like a PR company or content creator.
What is your, because you've learned a lot and done a lot, and as a team of 7, you're all wearing a lot of hats. When do you know you're out of your lane? Like when do you feel like, okay, I may need to ask for help or bring in a consultant or a different kind of expert in this? What do you have kind of signs?
Yeah. So I remember like when TikTok really started to go off, I was like, oh, I could totally film some video content in my kitchen, right? Because you see it and you're like, how hard can this be? And then you go back and you re-look at the content. So I always try to give it like one like good try, you know? And then I'm like, wait, no, this is not right. This does not look good. We really need to call in some help here because this is not it. So,
yeah, I'll speak on Canva sometimes, and I'll say, if you've spent more than 15 minutes on one design in Canva and you're still frustrated, you are probably out of your lane, because you just, you know, we all have different talents, and that's what it takes to make the world go round and you know, and bring glory and you know, shine our light in all different ways. And so we have to know when we're, you know, we need to call in help, right?
Yes. And that's a big one. So like, how much time are you truly spending on something that people might consume in 5 seconds? And there's a balance, because you need the content, but how does it actually look? And would it be better off to have somebody else do this? And I think another great example for our business is PR. So we started a PR company, I believe, in like September. And the amount of contacts they have gotten us in, the amount of just different things they brought to our attention that we weren't even privy to, like who the editor of these things are, is amazing. So we were like listed as one of Food and Beverage Magazine's top products of the year. We were on the local
For last
news.
year?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. We were in like tasting table as top like 13 cream liqueurs you should drink for the holiday season. We were on the Nashville News, and then we're in talks of doing some much bigger things that I never even thought I would be invited to the table for. So I feel like that is a great example of, you've exhausted your contacts and you probably need to call in some
new
help.
ideas. Yeah. Love that.
Or some fresh ideas.
Yeah.
I think that's also tricky when you've been doing something. So I've been in this role for over a decade. And it's like, okay, I'm not 23 anymore. I don't know what all the cool things are that people want to see online.
Well, and you it's almost like riding a bike, right? You get up and you do the same routine, and I know how to do this. And then all of a sudden, oh, I should be in a totally different area, or, you know, a totally different platform. So I love that too.
Or I should be filmed for a podcast.
Yes. This is the first time. I love that.
It is.
So you are a mom of 2.
I am.
2 boys. You and your husband are both working. You have, you're a national brand at this point. How do you take care of you so you can continue to do good work?
Well, my youngest is about to be a year old, and then my oldest is 4. So I feel like anytime I get a minute to myself, whatever that looks like. And unfortunately, at the moment, that looks like waking up really early to go to the gym. And I also have a women's group that I'm a part of through my church that I meet with once a week. And I feel like that is just very life-giving. And then, of course, like meeting people like yourself and connecting over just all the things that come with being a working parent, and then having your own business, or working with your family in a business, whatever that looks like. I feel like finding like-minded individuals to be like, how are you guys managing meals? How are you guys managing daycare? How are y'all managing this? And being able to throw out ideas of how is this working for your family?
Yeah, love that. Love that. Well, thank you for being on here. Anything else you'd like people to know about Jackson Morgan?
Well, we're available in, I think, almost 40 states at this point. And also, we're available online at reservebar.com. So, and we have shipping to most states if they'll let us legally ship. So, and you can also find it in your favorite liquor store, or you can request for people to stock it.
If they don't have it.
If they don't have it.
Okay. Before we go, tell us your favorite drink.
Oh, I love the salted caramel.
Okay. And you just over ice? Is that your favorite?
Over ice, or I really love either the salted caramel or the peppermint mocha and like hot chocolate this time of year, especially like Christmas morning. I think there's nothing better.
Okay. Well, I'm going to encourage everyone to have a good pour of Jackson Morgan sometime very soon. Thank you for being on here. I've enjoyed it, as always, talking to you.
Thank you so much, Kathryn. I really appreciate it.